Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host of today's episode. Today on the show, we have Tom Basey, founder and CEO of Basey Insurance, as my guest. We're going to be learning about his business, his journey to business ownership, best practices, and challenges that he's faced to give you that inside look to what it's like to build and operate a business. Welcome, Tom. Thanks for being on the show.
On the contrary, Kay, thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Yes, it's going to be fabulous. And before we dive into all things business, though, I would love to share with the audience a bit about you. So feel free to take us back as far as you'd like and share a bit about yourself.
Well, we don't have time to go all the way back or you remarked you're in the Austin area. Actually, I noticed I've got Austin, Texas, Congress Avenue actually there. So actually what I would offer is my grandfather was an entrepreneur on Congress Avenue. I haven't thought about it. Yeah, he sold popcorn back in the Depression. So I hadn't thought about that, but something we have there. So I'm a recovering engineer. So I studied engineering at the University of Texas and then I did an MBA. I worked in corporate America for a long time. But I'm 8 years into my entrepreneurial journey, and it is by accident. And so that's the thing. Born and raised in Austin, engineer by trade, but now 8 years into an entrepreneurial journey. That's my short response to that.
Oh, incredible. Well, I'm excited to dive into that, especially you said accidental, and that always is a fun story. So, yeah, tell me about how did you get started and exit the being where you were and getting into entrepreneurship.
So I worked in corporate America, not only as an engineer, but as a project manager. And project management, by definition, there's some level of stress built in. We're trying to achieve some objective by this date here, and we've got to get all these interim milestones achieved, for example, to meet that date. And I just had enough after 30 years. So actually, I was going to get out of corporate America via teaching. Here at the local university, UT Arlington, if you have an undergraduate degree, you can get certified to teach all online. So from 2015 to 2017, I took all the coursework online to get certified to teach. That was my plan. As an engineer, I was able to pass the state exam 7 through 12 math. That was my plan to teach it. And then I took E through 12 physical education. I've long coached soccer, so that was my plan. I was going to coach soccer and teach math, and I was going to have 3 months off in the summer and 2 months, 2 weeks off at Christmas and a week off at spring break. And then somebody sat down and explained with me the insurance industry, which I really wasn't on board. I didn't really even like insurance, but I learned it was even more flexible. So by accident, I had to call the university and say, listen, I was already set up to do my student teaching. That was the only thing I lacked. And I had to call them and say, listen, I'm going to mothball this and I'm going to try this insurance stuff instead.
Oh wow, like what a shift. It was kind of a little aha moment. So I'm excited to dive into that. And before we get into the business itself, I would like to hear about your role in your day-to-day. So what does your day-to-day currently look like and in a week in like kind of a typical week for you?
So as a project manager, I'm certainly time centric. So I live and die by my calendar, and I have it color coded, and it's elaborately planned out. And so I basically don't like to work on weekends. I will do something if I need to, but there's typically not work related things scheduled on the weekend, and the same thing in the evening. So basically 8 to 4 approximately, I've got something on there. It can be training from national carriers. It can be networking meetings. I'm a member of two chambers of commerce. I do nonprofit volunteering, so I do that. And then there's client times blocked out in the morning and in the afternoon, and that's either existing client where I'm following up or servicing them, or potential new client. So I've got time blocks where I work on that too and reach out. So I'm always doing something, and I'm doing it between 8 and 5. Actually, for the first time last year, I'm 8 years into my entrepreneurial journey, but I was able to go to the gym basically every day. So I actually even have that on. So I go to the gym in the morning, start my day, and I finish up.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's like a golden nugget of this conversation is like organization and planning your day. Uh,
Mhm.
so, when you look back at your week, how would you say most of the time that you are spending it with work is working in the business or on the business?
It's mostly I do some on the business as well, but it's mostly in the business. And then that's the thing. My business, it's fascinating. There's an extreme decoupling between what I do and then the outcome. And what I mean is I do a lot. At the end of the day, I must have conversations. If I don't have conversations, then I do not, for example, enroll someone in a health or life insurance policy. So I must have the conversation, but I can't just enroll. I can't just sit down and enroll you. I need to understand your needs and over time answer questions for you eventually. So my point is, I spend my days in conversation, and those conversations either result in eventually an insurance policy or perhaps either the referral, one way or the other, or actually even recruitment. Somebody can join the team. But at the end of the day, what I'm doing right now, I'm really doing it for the future. So there's a fascinating decoupling by my activities during the given day and then we'll freeze the discussions on insurance industry, the policies that result afterwards.
Okay, okay. That makes a lot of sense. And now, do you have other employees that that work for you, or how's your business structured currently?
Well, that's the thing. Like I say, I'm in this by accident. Actually, in corporate America, often as a project manager, I had all kinds of people from all different functional areas working with me or for me on a project, but they were not my direct reports. I didn't pay them, nor did I do the reviews. So they're in other departments. Like I typically was in a product development. So I was in an engineering department, but I had marketing and finance and manufacturing and compliance and quality and engineers. Even the engineers didn't work for me. So I'm accustomed to that. Actually, insurance is similar. I have partners, so there are people in my industry we call it upline and downline. I have two different uplines where I get either my health or my life insurance, and I got people in the downline. I'm incentivized to help them. I get in my industry we call it overrides on their production, but I work together with them. But I don't. So I don't. No one. The carriers pay me if I were to sell you a life insurance policy, you don't pay me anything. I'm not asking for any money. You'll pay the carrier you sign up. They pay me, and so similar. I have no payroll, so it's fascinating. I have a growing team, but I don't have payroll, so I love that.
Oh, yeah. So it's like more like contractors and things like that.
And or I'm telling you, we're related by the agreements, but I don't even pay even a contract. You have to pay a contract. I don't pay them. The carrier, whatever carrier, if they sell you a life insurance policy, they get paid by the carrier. You don't pay them anything. And then as the someone who helped them get their license and get appointed with the carriers, I get an override. I get an incentive as well.
Oh, that's incredible.
Mhm.
Okay, so kind of like taking it back to the day to day, if I were to give you 10 hours back in your day, where would those hours go? Would they be more towards the business or your personal life, or a little bit of both?
That's a great question. I'm going to say 10 hours back. I would split it half and half. There's a big debate about work-life balance. Some people contend it doesn't exist. I am a work-life balance person, and I feel like I've kind of achieved it some. And so, one, I don't necessarily need 10 more hours. 'Cause I've kind of got plenty already, that is for personal life, but I'd take some more. So that's a kind of a tricky response for you, but I mean that really is what I do. I could certainly use more time to be more effective in the business, but I could also use some more personal time.
Incredible, incredible. And so if you look at all the hats you're wearing in your business currently, if you got to choose to offload one of them, what one would you wish you could offload?
I believe I'm going to use the word outreach. Some people like to say prospecting that are new business development. In other words, yeah, I kind of prefer to take care of existing clients and work on the business rather than actually outreach. But I certainly do it since I like having conversations. It's okay. But that's the easy one for me to remark is outreach, prospecting, new business development, something like that.
Oh, definitely. And um, so kind of a spin-off of question of that, every business owner I talk to is really going through something at some point in their business. Maybe it's a new season, maybe it's a new challenge. But what are you going through currently that is something that's kind of taking a lot of your time?
That's an interesting question. I know you're right, but I do really feel like I'm on a rather continuous. So it's like so there's continuous change, right? So whether it's me embracing AI or the fact that my team is growing and I have to adjust to that. So those are two kind of some examples, but I don't know if there's any one thing. Let me think about that. Yeah. So my team is growing. The good news is my business has grown every year. So I like that. So it continues to grow, but as it grows, there are new challenges. And in fact, as mundane as this is, let me think about this. So I have long used a particular industry leading CRM. And the good news is, and they've told me your version is going to be sunsetted. And they've told me twice now, once by email and one in person. They're saying, we're going to go ahead and give you an upgrade and it's not going to cost you anymore. So that all sounds great, but I'm a little nervous. I'm kind of watching that, hoping that works out right. If that works the way they've said, then I'm looking for that. But I'm also kind of dabbling in other ones. And that's the thing, CRM is kind of an old word, right? These days, there's a lot of new functionality in what would be considered legacy CRM, and so and I've got an elaborate system set up, but it is ad hoc or piecemeal. I put together different modules from different companies, and I like that in that I'm not in bed with somebody. Where conversely, they will say you could save a lot of money if we integrated this into one solution. Yeah, but then I'm in bed with you, so I don't know. So I'm scratching my head and looking at that, but I don't have to make the call until I hear from my legacy carrier. That it's supposed to be any day now. They're going to say, "Yep, you're on this new great. It's called the Pro version." All right, I look forward to that. And so I'm not going to pay anymore. Sounds great. Sign me up, but we'll see.
Yeah, that I know what you mean by that when you're like they tell you something and you're like, okay, let's feel this out. Is this what
Hmm.
they're really telling me? So yeah, that's a real thing that, business owners are thinking about, especially as they're bringing on new software or like you said, additional partners and things like that. So,
Hmm.
when you walk into your business on Monday morning, what is the first thing that's sitting at the top of your mind?
I look at the calendar since I said I live and die by it. So number one, I will offer this to you and to the audience too. It used to be you would ask someone, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" To me, that's crazy talk, right? In other words, we don't know where we're going to be in 5 years even. But where I'm going with this is I do bi-monthly planning, and so the good news is I sit down and I have every 2 months, and I just did it a week or so ago. But nonetheless, I do need to look at the calendar. And say, what's going on this day and this week? Do we have to make an adjustment? So I really am really driven by that. I'm very time sensitive, and so I want to do that, and that'll let me. I'm going to be more efficient if I know what I'm in. And sometimes activities like this one are virtual. Yeah, but if they're in real life, sometimes there's a drive time. So I even model that in there. But my point, it can be challenging. I actually drove west of me 10, 15 miles earlier today. I came here for my home office right now to do this, and I'm going to drive again. I need to be aware of that, you know. So it's really about calendar and timing and planning.
Definitely, definitely. Now let's kind of fast forward. You mentioned that you don't really have the 5-year plan, like you do the bi-monthly planning, but do you have any goals that you want with the company, say for this next year?
Well, so that's the thing. Another resistance to my project management, I've always had goals, right? In fact, even if you're not a project manager in corporate America, typically there's some kind of goal set up to manage you by objectives. So whether that's output or production or financial impacts. And so I've really resisted that. So what I've turned in the last couple of years is to activity-based goals. So that's the thing. Rather than the actual outcome, I prefer to dictate these are the things that I want to do. And if I can achieve those, the resultant outcome is going to be good for me. Now, having said that, I will say that I went ahead. Sometimes when you run around in certain circles, whether it's a mastermind or different things, something very good, like, hey, you got to have a goal. Give me a goal. So actually, one of the
Mm,
ones that I have come up with, just to quantify things, is number of licensed agents working with me. And so actually, I have targeted. I'd like to have that be 20 by the end of the year. And so I'm working towards that. I'm on plan right now.
Great. That's a great goal. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
And okay, so let's kind of look at when the business is going right. And when your business is going the way you're wanting it to go, what is it doing for you?
That's an interesting question. Uh, I don't know that then I would say that I am enrolling someone in a health or a life insurance policy once in the morning and once in the afternoon, kind of like clockwork. And it was a finely tuned machine. That's what I'm going to say. I don't know if that's really the right answer, but based on your prompt, that's what I'm coming up with.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like looking at that like ideal situation for you.
And not overloaded. Actually, periodically during the year, there's certain, like in health insurance, there's time of year. Actually, I don't like that. I don't like to be inundated or overwhelmed. I like steady, consistent, predictable flow.
Definitely. I relate. I think a lot of business owners feel that way because sometimes it's like we want all the work, but then we're like, oh my gosh, it's past capacity, and then it becomes even
Hmm.
almost a scarier situation than not having anything to do. So,
Hmm.
so if you've got where you are today and you've got where you want to be, what is sitting in the middle of the you no, let me rephrase that. So if you are where you are today and you have your goal of where you want to be, what is kind of in the middle of those two things? Like what's in the way of getting there?
I don't know if in the way as much I would say is I just feel like it's time. That is, it's something I cannot do initially. I have to take the time. Now, you used the phrase earlier about working in the business then on the business. I believe that if I spend time working on the business some more, maybe I can figure out some ways to accelerate, for example. But as a general rule, I kind of just need time. It's moving the way I want, it's growing. And
Mm,
then with my business is more scalable than most. And so with the scalability, I feel pretty good about it. So really, it's mostly just time and execution.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And so, what does hitting the vision actually let you do? Like, not for the business, but for you personally and the people in your life.
Well, that's the thing. I said I wanted out of corporate America and it happened by accident, but it kind of already has. I'm fortunate in that my son, in fact, not only graduated university, he got married a couple of years ago. So I don't, and my wife retired 2 years ago. So the good news is I don't have responsibilities that many people do. You know what I mean? And so actually, what it does is it allows me to live my life literally. And I had a conversation within the past hour. I was talking about how, despite being a senior program manager at a big major telecommunications company, I still had to ask permission if I wanted to take a week or two off to travel. Where now I can make that decision. So I kind of already achieved the freedom that I'm looking for. Now, having said that, I also believe that work is good for people. I think if I retired and sat around and watched TV, maybe even played golf or something, actually, I think I'd do myself a disservice. And really, I want to give back to my community at large. So I do some volunteering. So really, I have freedom and it allows me to participate how I want to with the people in my life and my community.
Oh, definitely. I really like that. That's really true. And kind of like looking at what makes your business special now. Who does your business best serve? Like if I was your ideal client and I walked through your doors or found you online, how would I know I'd be a good fit for you?
Uh, if you're a human living in the United States between the age of 30 and 55, say, I can help you. I actually do elaborate Medicare stuff and help people there too, but you said ideal. So ideal is that. So because adults, so the thing really, whether they know it or not, everybody really needs life insurance and health insurance. You really need long-term care as well. You really even need a pension. How about that? I was fortunate enough. I'm old enough. Is that fortunate? I got a pension. Used to be the old plan was you finish high school, go to university. Finish that university, you go to get a job at a company, you work there 30 years, and you retire and you get to go watch in a pension. And that's largely unavailable now. And so actually, uh, I can help someone with a variety of different solutions. And we didn't say this much, what I don't do. I protect people, not things. So although I'm an independent insurance broker, I'm not trying to bundle your car and your home. I don't want. There's a lot of additional work and overhead and even dissatisfaction of customers when you're protecting things. But when you're protecting people, largely when you have a high quality, like I represent all major high quality carriers, they actually like the solution. So I'm in this real niche. So people like the solutions that I offer.
Oh, incredible. And kind of like looking at gaining your clients, what is the number one marketing strategy that you're currently bringing you the most business?
Yeah, so that's the thing. The good news is because I treat clients well, actually since 2024, my number one source of clients is clients. That is referrals actually do that. Now, having said that, well, I want to do other things, so I do a lot of different things, but none of them stand out as best. So actually, I'm a member of two chambers of commerce. So networking, and I do virtual networking as well. So actually, I do a lot, almost every day. I do post something, whether me, Tom Basey, or Basey Insurance, typically can be found on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest. I do a good job there as well. But I do not say that networking or social media. Or on occasion, I will purchase some leads, for example, but typically that doesn't work well for me. So I do a bunch of different of them, but there's no clear winner for me. And or the real winner is the referrals because that's also positive feedback for me, right? Apparently, I'm doing something well if they will refer me.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a really good point. Now I want to take us through some fun rapid fire questions for the kind of winding down here for our podcast. There's going to be four of them. Just answer very top of mind.
Sounds fun.
All right. Question number one is, what is a key to success for you?
Uh, Discipline / consistency.
Definitely. What is one piece of advice you have for other business owners?
One thing I'm gonna say is podcasts. So I'm a big proponent of reading. I think you should read. It's hard to read. It's hard to find time. So actually, what I have said within the past year is I'm getting a PhD in entrepreneurship. That's what I say, but not from a traditional university. and it's kind of vibe podcast. I listen to, I think as many, and I think you should go to the gym. You know, it's a long-winded answer, right? You're like, hey, what happened? So the short answer is podcast, but I think they can really benefit themselves if they'll listen to a lot of podcasts.
Definitely. And that's actually goes right into my third question,
Oh.
which what is a book or a podcast that you're into right now?
Let me think about that. There's several. First, I want to do the book one if I can. There's um because you said rapid fire, the first one that came to my mind is Day Trading Attention by Gary V. And then since it's a book, I bought that. It's here on my shelf, and I read that. People, I don't do that much. I don't buy that many, and I don't read that many. But so Day Trading Attention by Gary V. And then for podcasts, I listen to a lot of them, and I'm going to go with either. Man, that's so. Those are like your children, right? You're asking me what. So you're in Austin. There's a real migration of high quality podcasting people going to Austin. So I'm gonna just because you said you're there, and I'm gonna mention Chris Williamson, Uncommon Wisdom, and Halataha, Young and Profiting, and maybe even Jasmine Star might have even migrated there. And then Amy Porterfield did not, but I like Amy Porterfield. But so uh, you said one. So Gary V for the book, and then one Chris Williamson, Uncommon Wisdom.
Nice. Yeah, I listen to his stuff too. Yeah, it's good. And then the fourth question is if I give you a bit of magic dust and you could sprinkle it on one spot of your business to rapidly improve it, what would it be?
I'm still going to go with outreach. And that thing you sprinkle on that. And so I don't know if that really means on my social media thing or what it means, but that it's outreach because that's where I want the magic dust to be.
Incredible. Oh my gosh. Well, Tom, this has been such a great conversation. So let's get that outreach going. How can people connect with you and your business online?
Thanks for asking. I would love them to do that however they like. That is, my name is Tom Basey and the company's Basey Insurance. And so I claim to be on all social, even the one maybe you haven't heard of, Nextdoor or Lineable. I'm everywhere. So my request is reach out to me. I am a approachable, pleasant person. So I'd love for somebody to connect with me on whichever social media channel they like to use and as many as they can find me.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And so for our final question of the day, uh, what is most inspiring to you today?
Hmm. That's a tough one. Because it's rapid fire, I'm just going to go with the World Cup. It's coming here to the U.S. and I'm a big passionate soccer fan and really across the world people love it, right? And it's some common ground people find. So I'm going to go with the World Cup.
World Cup. Oh, incredible, Tom. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the Business Spotlight. It was a joy talking to you today.
Thank you very much, Kay. I've enjoyed our conversation immensely. Thanks so much.